Orange bar. Sorry, we're not on the whiskey.
Well, double the whiskey.
Single malt, this kind of beer. Now, whenever you see single, that means one distillery. So they'd be set off in the bottle.
No problem.
In the States, the cheapest you could find it was $90.
Oh yeah, no. Sure.
And it just...
Like, if you've been to 10, like, I feel like, oh, okay, cool. So I feel like there's people who go to
They'd be like, right, well, I can't get around the island. Sort of. This is more campfire. It's got more of that kind of sea air coming across it. 2.3 million pounds worth of whiskey.
Wow.
Just in casks. I would say the majority are normally from America, and again, it's that sort of interest behind whiskey in Scotland, and a lot of them sort of, you know, they're tracing back roots, and they think, well, if I'm going to Scotland anyway, I've got to drink whiskey as well. That's another thing. If you ever get a tasting note, you know, we want people to be trying stuff that's not just generic. We want them to be trying other stuff that you might not see, and that's one of the things I think the tariffs are probably going to impact quite a bit on. And also, you might see like those smaller distilleries, if they're found a big market in America, and then, you know, they're unable to then meet that market because of that tariff, you might see those distilleries disappear, and that's always a sort of a sad thing.
Cheers, guys.
A cruel twist of fate at a big international buying conference at Gleneagles. We had agreed in principle to go into 23 states and 200 stores across those states with a large retailer in the US. And then 12 hours later, we woke up to a 25% tariff on single malt whiskey. So that has put a huge cloud over our discussions and our plans to launch in the US. Unfortunately, the impact will be on the consumers in the US, which again is really unfortunate timing because we have a lot of fans and a lot of support from the US, both from friends and family and relatives and a whole load of people who we've built up networks, who've come to Scotland, who've tasted the whiskey that we're making and are constantly going, when are you guys coming to the US? We have a great product, and allied to Brexit, it's almost like a double whammy for a small growing distillery in terms of two huge markets with massive uncertainty. But the US one was definitely a little bit of a punch in the solar plexus. It was a sore one, so we'll just have to see what happens next. We're still ongoing in terms of our talks and our conversations, but certainly at best it's knocked our plans by at least 3 months.
Really, what we're expecting is around a 20% drop in the sales of single malt in the US. You know, we have the example of US whiskey being shipped to Europe, which has been under a 25% tariff for the last 18 months. And the American whiskey industry has broadly experienced a 20% drop in sales in Europe with that level of tariff. So that's broadly what we are expecting to see. I think the pre-shipping will probably help companies get through the busy festive season. But I think, you know, as soon as we get into next year, we're going to start to see a real impact. And, you know, one of the issues for us with this tariff is because it is hitting single malt Scotch whisky, the impact is disproportionate on small producers.
Our first little fact, the country that produces and drinks the most whiskey in the world is India. Yes, produces and drinks. The roots of John are like fantastic premium.